Welcome to a new episode of the Sports Mecca podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Abramo. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Sam Hengeli. Today, we are joined by Australian track and field athlete, Ellie Beer. Ellie, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and being the first Aussie on the show.
Oh, no, thank you so much for having me. I'm so privileged to be a part of this. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you guys. I love America. I need to go back. I've only explored parts of Miami and parts of LA when I was really young. Miami was last year, had a couple of pre-camps at the University of Miami, and I love it, honestly. I would love to get back over and see a little bit more of America.
We'll jump into it. The past couple months, have recently competed in the 400-meter meets across Europe this summer in countries such as Switzerland, Poland, and Belgium. There could be other ones that I didn't name, but just talk about what that time was like competing in Europe and then what you were able to learn while competing in those events.
One word I would have to describe Europe is just amazing. Hey, I absolutely loved it over there. It was a total different field compared to competing in Australia. Like, I know, don't get me wrong, love competing in Australia, and we got such a good community around the 400-meter girls. I know, but it was my first European season over there. So, first time going over, proper basing. I was basing in a little town just outside of Brussels called Leuven. And oh my goodness, I just felt at home straight away. And to be honest with you, it probably made it even 10 times better knowing that there was a couple of other Aussies and Kiwis basing there themselves as well. So I had lots of friends going out for coffee and then training around with all pretty much the best athletes in Australia and New Zealand. And then you're right, was really lucky enough, went to Geneva in Switzerland and did my first race there. And I was really lucky enough to come away with a PB, which I was not expecting. Um, that was just phenomenal. And then my next race, I went to a city called Poznan in Poland. Again, was really happy with how I raced there. And then I did a couple of meets around Belgium. And just from that little experience, I went over for 5 weeks. I know a lot of athletes usually go over there for a couple of months, but I predominantly wanted just to go over for 5 weeks, just to kind of gain that experience because I've never done a European circuit before and just see how it works. And I can definitely see why people go over there for months on end because it's so much fun. Hey, I think the best part about it was that I met so many amazing athletes over there and I formed so many new connections. So when I go back over next year, I'll be really lucky enough to go, potentially train with those girls. I know I made really good friends with a couple of the Dutch 400-meter runners, and then I made a couple of friends with the British 400-meter runners, and then they were so welcoming and said, "Hey, you're more than welcome to come over with us, train with us if you want." And then happy days. So I guess I really just loved it for that aspect of forming new connections as well as just it's a whole different ball game over there as well. Like it is so competitive. And I really learnt just from talking with the other 400-meter runners and talking with other even experiencing watching. I was really lucky enough. I went to the London Diamond League as a reserve for the 4x1. Being a 400-meter sprinter, that was quite nerve-wracking, but it was really cool just being a reserve for those 4x1 girls. And I remember just watching and experiencing. I saw all the best sprinters in the world there, and just gaining that experience and knowing it's just inspiring me to just want to do better, I guess. And like I said, after having that 5 week stint over in Europe, it's really inspired me leading into, we got the World Championships later on in September in Tokyo, Japan, back in the Olympic Stadium, which is really exciting. And I guess it's just really inspired me to train really hard and, want to be with those top 400-meter runners in the world and be up there with them. So I'm going back to Europe every year. I'm telling my coach, I feel like I really thrived over there, and I encourage pretty much every athlete to go do a European season because I feel like you both learn so much about yourself as an athlete, but then also as a person. I would say, because I'm still 22 years old. So, and, I will forever say I will always be learning. But yeah, I learned so much over there, both, yeah, in those two facets of my life as a person, but also as an athlete as well. So, no, I encourage everyone to go over to Europe. It was so much fun.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, for our audience that might not be familiar with your European season or any of the athletes that are going to Europe, like how did you know a lot going into this, or like how did you think about you wanted to compete in Europe this summer compared to another country or other areas of the world?
Yeah, and yeah, of course. I've always heard in the past about from I know like from other people, like even talking with senior athletes and everything, they always talk to me and said, Ellie, you need to do a European season. Just because purely it's just great for experience, great to go race the best in the world. And honestly, it's just a different feel over there, I would say. And I would say like I would have previous experience in terms of with traveling around the world. Like I was really lucky enough. I started traveling overseas at the age of 16. I was really lucky enough to go to the World Championships in Doha in Qatar as a part of the 4x4 relay. So I feel like I've kind of had that experience from that young of age. And I would say up until now, I've had experience traveling around the world. But I would say like even to be honest with you, even I would love to go overseas and do the American season because I have a friend, or I've got a couple of friends actually who have moved across from Australia and done the college system over there, and it was something that I was looking at doing when I was leaving school, but unfortunately COVID kind of stopped that. And again, personally, me, I feel like I couldn't have left my coach and all my support team back here in Australia. I built myself such an amazing team here that it would be really hard for me to leave them, and I probably never will. But I would predominantly go to America just for the experience of because I value a lot in meeting people and learning off other people and forming those connections. I'm very much an extrovert. I don't know if you could probably tell.
Mhm.
So I guess, that was kind of one of my main reasons I, really encourage, like, I mean, even just honestly, after learning from that 5 week stint, I reckon it was just really good for people, particularly to get out of their comfort zone and really, yeah, probably discover something they didn't really know about themselves. Like naturally, if they were a shy person, you might experience when you go over to Europe, it's actually like the people over there are so lovely. You could honestly just go sit in a cafe and form so many different connections. Like I know I met an amazing girl from Spain. I met an amazing girl from Paris. And then like it was just everyone was just so friendly over there. So I guess, yeah, if we're kind of talking back to, you know, like why and like I wanted to do a European season, I think guess I was just so influenced from what everyone was saying, how they were like, you need to go do a European season. Like it's just fun, I guess. And, after seeing like a lot of the people from previous years going over there, they all look like they're just having an absolute ball. So I feel like after I've kind of like learnt, I could probably definitely do it better next year. I would say this trip, I probably, as much as like the racing did go well, I know things that I can definitely do better as an athlete for next time round. But yeah, honestly, yeah, personally, me, I know every athlete's different. Some people don't really like the European stint, some people really like it, I guess. Like, but I know personally, me, I thrived over there as a person and an athlete. So, no, but it is good to be home. I love where I live here on the Gold Coast in Australia. I feel like I definitely missed everyone when I was over there. But yeah, no, I'm definitely booking my trip for next year.
So you were uh you, you competed in the 2021 and 2024 Olympics. Uh did you race twice in the 400 meters in Paris last year?
Yes, I did. So I ran the heat, and then my goal was to make the semi final, but unfortunately, I didn't get there. But this was the first. Olympics where they had a repechage round. So it was actually really cool how we got to have a second chance running on the track. I think it's actually a really, obviously, like I wanted to make it straight to the semi, but I was really lucky enough that they did have that repechage round in place, so we could have a second chance at trying to make that semi. So yeah, no, I was lucky enough to run on the purple track twice, which was really cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, so um we've had one Olympian that competed in the 2024 Olympics, Reagan Smith. She came on the podcast. She's a US swimmer. She was also in the 2021 Olympics. So for your sake, you competed in two Olympics. The 2021 was your first. You were 17, 18 years old.
Yep.
And then the one last year, you were older. What did you have any difference of mindsets entering each of the Olympics or different mindsets following both Olympic performances?
Yeah, so I would say there are definitely two total different experiences. I know with Tokyo, because I was a part of the relay, so the 4x4 relay in that one. And I would say Tokyo was, because a lot of people like, they tell me they're like, oh, was Paris better because, it wasn't COVID, wasn't this, but an Olympics is an Olympics. I reckon both experiences were just phenomenal. I don't think it's actually really sunken in the fact that I've gone to two Olympics, and I speak to actually my really good mentor of mine, Sally Pearson, and I go, Sally, it hasn't sunken in that I've gone to two Olympics, and she's like, Ellie, don't worry, it hasn't sunken in for me either. So but I would say, yeah, like I said, going into Tokyo, it was really, it was really good having the support, particularly for my first Olympics, and was an 18 years old going into that at once. So it was really good having the support of the girls on the line. I really, because I would say I'm a really big team advocate. I love relays. I grew up doing team sports when I was younger, and then obviously had to make the D at 16 years old to pursue in one sport, and that being running. So it was a little bit hard, having to, yeah, give up that team sport aspect. But then that's why I love relays. So it was really good with that. And then going into Paris, it was a lot different because I qualified for the individual four. And I would say, there were probably similar mindsets, like both going into those ones. I think it was a little bit different going into Paris, knowing that I was, it was just going to be me going out there instead of with a group of girls. I definitely missed that aspect at Paris of having the relay there. But I would say, I mean, if we had to compare mindsets, 18-year-old Ellie to 21-year-old Ellie, it was definitely very different. I would say 18-year-old Ellie, I was just, obviously I was so switched on, focused, and wanted to run for the team and do really well for all of us girls. And I was just having fun, and I reckon I was fangirling around the village, like seeing all my idols and everything. Whereas Paris, I really kind of flicked that switch and obviously had a really big kind of like tunnel vision mentality of wanting to make that semi-final. And unfortunately, we didn't make that semi. And I remember after the heat, particularly, I was a little bit down on myself because I didn't make it straight to that semi. And, it was really tough having to switch that mentality of like just parking that race and going, all right, Ellie, we've got to switch back on and get to the repechage and try and make that semi-final. But yeah, the Olympics, it takes you out more emotionally than it does physically, I will say. Like it was just, I remember like finishing that race and it was just, oh man, I think it just all hit, to be honest with you. Like just because you work as an athlete, you work so hard for like 3 years. I mean, in that little stint, it was 2 years, but yeah, you work so hard and as an athlete to hit this pinnacle in your life. Obviously, I feel like every athlete, not every athlete, but Olympics is the big end goal. And the fact that it happens within like literally you finish the race and it happens within a click, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. But yeah, no, it's and my next goal is LA 2028, and then goal after that is Brisbane 2032. So I feel like it's going to be, I'm forever changing as an athlete and as a person. So I feel like the mentality is always going to be different going into each race.
Yeah. So you mentioned Brisbane in 2032. So it's more of some some two or three fun questions with you being an Australian. Uh, how many foreigners or Americans that you come across try to imitate your Australian accent?
Quite a bit, I would say. It's so funny. It's just the way like because we don't think we have like a massive accent. Like I don't think I have a massive accent until I go overseas, and then I'm like, oh, never mind, I do. And I would kind of be best described as your typical Aussie. I gotta watch it because sometimes my slang, like I know us Aussies, we have a bit of a slang to when we say things like the yeah nahs and the oi mate, or we like tend to shorten everything. So I will say we do get mixed up quite a bit when I do talk to a few Americans. A lot of us think we're Kiwis, we're New Zealanders, which is quite funny. I get that quite a bit, and even British. I don't know, which I can kind of see. And that was even like over in Europe too. They were like, "Oh, are you British? Are you Kiwi? Are you New Zealand?" I'm like, "No, no, no. I'm your typical Aussie." But it's like even just like the little things. Like I know, there's a couple of pronouncings like Adidas. We pronounce it Adidas, and obviously you guys pronounce it Adidas, I think.
Mhm.
And then Nike, we do Nike. Um, I'm trying to think of other things that or like just the way we pronounce like our A's, or like it's quite funny. I love actually having chats with Americans because sometimes like I actually really like your guys' accent. It's really like you guys pronounce everything so perfectly, whereas us Aussies, we are probably the laziest talkers. I will say we shorten everything, and sometimes we speak way too fast and way too much. So classic me, I can definitely love a chat. So yeah, it's quite. I need to learn to like slow down because I know sometimes I can speak way too quick, and then everyone's like, "What are you actually saying?"
Right, right. Um, so this one, you might be surprised of this question, but I watch Australian football. Do you have a AFL club that you
Oh,
support?
Mhm.
well, I would say I recently kind of got into the AFL. I would probably be more of an NRL fan. And if we're talking NRL, I would say my favorite team is the Melbourne Storm because my best friend is her dad used to play for Melbourne Storm. So I've always been loyal to them. But if we had to talk AFL, I should be going, I should go for the Gold Coast Suns because that's where I'm from. But I know I've had a couple of friends who love Geelong. I got a couple of Geelong supporters, so I was like, oh, you know what? I'll go for Geelong. But if I had to choose a team, it would have to be the Gold Coast Suns since I'm from the Gold Coast. But I need to go actually go watch a few more games. I know I would say, everyone becomes a hardcore AFL fan after you watch a game at the MCG in Melbourne. That stadium is just amazing. I remember I went and watched an AFL game there, and I was like, wow, it's such an amazing stadium to go watch like any AFL game or anything. So, yeah, if I had to choose my two teams, it would have to be Gold Coast Suns or Geelong.
Okay. Um, I watch, and obviously because of the time difference we have in the US, uh, the most of the games here are at between 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. So I
Yeah.
don't have a actual team, but I watch it a lot on Fox Soccer Plus and then Fox Sports 2. So Brisbane, uh, Collingwood, the Sydney Swans, like I know like all the teams. I don't know any of the players, but but since you're from Australia, I had to ask. I do follow the AFL on social media too, so um,
Oh, that's
it's a
good.
good following. So
Yeah, no, us Aussies, we love our footy over here. Like between, yeah, AFL. I know, like on the Gold Coast here in Queensland, I would say we are a bit more of a NRL kind of fans up this way. But then if you go down to Melbourne or you go to Adelaide or honestly, I would probably say Melbourne is probably the heart of AFL. They just love it down there. They get around it because I would probably say I wouldn't say I'm a hardcore fan, but I am a fan. So I would like that's why I would like to become a little bit more of a hardcore fan because it's just like us Aussies, we just love getting around it and just around our sport in general. Not as much as actually I will say like when I went over to like Europe and stuff like that, the Europeans, they in terms of if we're just talking about athletics as a sport, they love it over there. And I feel like in Australia, we do need to get a little bit more people around athletics. But yeah, the footy side of things, we, us Aussies, we love it.
Very cool. One of the things you are known for in the track community by the tradition of wearing long socks. What was the origin of the long socks?
Okay, so long long story short, I remember when I first started running, and we have this thing. I don't know if in America you guys have it, but it's called Little Athletics, and it's pretty much where you sign up to a club and you go every Friday night and you just try out all the events. So I was a part of Gold Coast Pizzey Park Little Athletics Club. And that's where I kind of feel like I started there when I was 6 years old, and I feel like that's where I discovered my love for running and I would say sport in general.
Hmm.
Um, and I remember, so funny enough, we actually we train together nowadays. When she's my best friend, we used to compete. Anyways, if we're fast forwarding back, we used to compete against each other back in Little Athletics days, and her name is Jess. And I saw that she used to wear these long socks, and I got so inspired of her. I was like, oh, I love these long socks. I want to wear them. So I started wearing literally from that, Jess, I started wearing long socks. And then to be honest with you, it just became a bit of like a lucky charm, I guess, or a bit of like a superstition for that many years. And then also like my other best friend, Hallie, she used to wear them for Oztag when I used to play a lot of Oztag, which I feel like would be equivalent as flag football for you guys. I feel like would be very similar. I used to play a lot of Oztag when I was growing up, and yeah, my best friend Hallie, she started wearing long socks, and then I got inspired off her again. So I guess it was just inspiration through those two friends, and then, like I said, fast forward, it was a superstition until about I think about 19 or maybe I think it was 19, I think, and then I just eventually I don't know what got through me. I just stopped wearing them and then I switched them for the arm sleeves. So now yeah, I'm an arm sleeves girl now. So yeah, I just grew up. I think it was just yeah, it was something that I just had to wear every race. But a lot of like yeah, a lot of people ask me, they're like, "Are you going to bring back the long socks?" And I'm like,
Hmm.
uh, probably not. I,
Hmm.
that was a phase in my life, and now now we've switched it to the arm sleeves. So, but yeah, but to be honest with you, they weren't even like growing up, like because I know like it eventually got to a point where I started wearing compression socks, but before I got into the compression socks, I was just wearing like funky long socks. Like my mum and I, we used to go down to the local oh gosh local cheap store, and I went and got all these like different long socks. I had ones with pugs on them, ones with French bulldogs. At one point ones with like smiley faces on them. It was just yeah, I was there are some out there ones I will say, but yeah, no, I you know, never say never. Maybe I might bring the bright socks back, but yeah, who knows when that will be.
I was somebody who wore bright socks quite a bit, and I had when I was competing in track, I had like a pair of these pink with neon green socks I wore in one meet, and then I wore Bart Simpson socks for a track meet as well.
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah,
That
and
is
then
so
I
good.
I had
See,
a pair of long socks too when it said like you can do it, and it's a quote from Coffee, and then it has like a coffee mug giving you a thumbs up. I used to wear like socks like that when I was competing.
oh, I need those coffee ones because I am a coffee fanatic. Us
Yeah.
Aussies, one thing we love sorry, not love Aussies, but we love coffee. So I need to find those coffee socks because I will then start wearing them, and that'll be my debut back to wearing my long socks.
Very cool. Were there like for like when you were competing with the long socks, did you wear specific ones for specific meets, or did you just like pick whichever one that just like looked good for the day?
Honestly, I just picked the brightest pair. I there wasn't really any like kind of Pacific one. As long as they were bright and out there, then happy days. Like I know I kind of switched up between like I had my bright green ones, I had bright pink ones, blue ones. Oh gosh, I had every color. Like as long as they were bright, happy days. Like they just have to be the brightest thing. And even to be honest with you, that kind of like comes in. I would say I wear a lot of bright clothing. They just every clothing. I rarely wear kind of like your neutral colors. I'm a very much a bright gal. So lucky enough, like I love the Adidas gear this season. It's bright red, which is it's right up my alley. So yeah, no, anything bright. I think it was because I've like incorporated it into my when I was at such a young age. I've just always loved the bright colors. So I feel like that is still with me as I've grown up.
That's awesome. So I want to transition into kind of like your training. Gym sessions are very important for any track athlete, whether they're a sprinter, hurdler, jumper, or a distance runner. What does your gym sessions look like throughout the week, and how does the strength training get implemented throughout your season?
Yes, so of course. So I would say, like, if we're talking like right back into the preseason phase of my training, it's pretty much a lot of strength base. So lots of reps, lots of sets, just to build up that base essentially. And this is like a corporation of like so many different things. Like, I know, like, on Tuesdays, we predominantly focus on arms, but I would say, like, even leaning towards into a race, we tend to just kind of drop it out completely because we are tapering. Like, I know if we're talking about, I would say probably about, it kind of differs usually, but about a week out from so if we're talking about worlds, if it happens, about a week out, we would completely drop gym and just keep it super light just because we're trying to freshen up before leaning into racing. But yeah, honestly, I love my gym. I can't live without it. I'm really lucky enough that I have a really amazing gym coach, strength and conditioning coach, I should say, Link Barnes, who really predominantly focuses on. There's a lot of different funky exercises us runners do. To kind of like, I know everyone kind of like focuses on different pinpoints, but then all kind of similar. But yeah, it's a combination of everything, from core, lower, everything. Yeah. But it can be tough some days. I know, like, particularly, like, I know I have to, me as an athlete, I predominantly have to focus on my hammies, my hip, and my core strength because they're probably my biggest things leaning into, and things that I do need to work on, as a 400-meter sprinter. And I would probably say for every sprinter, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, it is proper hard in preseason, I will say. I think it's just because when you come off a break, it's always that little bit tough when you just had 3 weeks of pretty much doing nothing and then coming back into it. It's like, oh, you don't realize how much you lose strength wise. But yeah, I properly do or properly start strength training till it probably, I started it at 16, but it was super light because, like, my running coach is Brett Robinson. He really he kind of slowly progressed me into the full 400-meter program, because I know he didn't want to fully burn me out as a young sprinter. Um, so like I've been with my coach Brett Robinson since I was 11 years old. He's been my coach for 10 years, and he'll forever be my coach. Um, and he slowly, I started running fours when I was about 13, but then I wasn't on the full 400-meter program till about, don't quote me on this, I think till about 18, 19, I think, because he just wanted to not fully burn me out. Yeah, it's different every season, but I would say that's kind of the best way to kind of wrap things really hard in preseason, and it slowly kind of eases off as we get closer into races.
Very nice, very nice. One of besides your gym sessions, you also implement Pilates into your routine. How
Yep.
often do you do Pilates, and how has it made you stronger on the track?
Yeah, so I do Pilates once a week with Alyssa. I incorporated that probably about, been doing Pilates for about, I think, oh gosh, I think it's been about 4 or 5 years now. And honestly, it was just something to do, like, I just wanted to kind of get into it and see what it was like. Because I saw like the reformer Pilates. I know it's such a big thing here on the Gold Coast. In terms of like, yeah, everyone's kind of getting into it. But I feel like it's really good because it's clinical Pilates. So she particularly focuses on exercises that are specific for my sport. And it pretty much targets those muscles that you normally wouldn't target in the gym or on the track. Every time I do it on Friday mornings, it's a really nice thing to end my week off with. And I would say it's also like a meditation, as well. It's just nice to kind of like do something a little bit different, outside of, the track and gym and everything like that. It's actually really, I really enjoy it for, yeah, I guess that meditation aspect, and as well as, yeah, doing those little one percenters to, yeah, target those little muscles that you normally wouldn't target.
What's your favorite track workout you've done?
Oh, there's been a lot in the past. Um, I would probably say, oh, there's a lot of tough ones in particularly the 400-meter program. Um, there's a lot of hurt, a lot of lactic sessions, which are a little bit of like a love hate relationship, I would say. But I do love challenge. That's why I do love doing 400 meters. I'd probably say my favorite session. I've always loved 300 meters on 10 minutes at 95%. I don't know, it's always our taper sessions leading into a major comp. And I don't know, I've always loved that distance, 300 meters. I feel like it's
Mhm.
that perfect happy medium where it's like you can sprint the whole way. But I would probably say anything to do with like 300 meters, I've always loved. Or I do love repetition 200s, particularly in the preseason. I love those repetition twos just because it's a bit of a challenge. And as much as like, I mean, when I'm doing this session, I would say I don't love the hurt feeling. But then after the session, like once I've recovered, I definitely go, oh, actually, I really like that I did hit that hard lactate because it is very rewarding. It's a good rewarding feeling. But that would probably be or I do like really relaxing sessions, I would say, like a couple of 80s or something like that. It's quite nice when I'm doing 100-meter sprinters program just to, just to ease it off a little bit. But or even like something a little bit, see, I have so many different favorite sessions. Even something a little bit different, like I don't mind a hills. It can hurt, but it's just nice to for a bit of change of scenery and something to do a little bit different. So yeah, I would probably say they're probably my top favorite sessions. I feel like it kind of different. I can't get the word out. It's different every season. What session is my favorite? But yeah, I would say that would be my top three. Top, I think, yeah, top three. Particularly for this season. It could be different next season.
Very, very cool, very cool. So with your so you get obviously you need running shoes to be a be a sprinter or just train. What's your favorite shoe you've trained in?
I'm very loyal to my Adidas family. I've been a part of their team for 5 years now, and I would say my anything Adidas. I love my Adi Zeros, my joggers. I would say they're probably one of my favorite shoes to warm up in. But then if we're talking about racing spikes, I would definitely say my SP3s are amazing. I love those spikes. As a 400-meter sprinter, I wouldn't say I'm too like regiment in terms of like what spike is like, like when people ask me about spikes, I kind of just go, "Oh, these ones are great. They feel good. Happy days." I'm very simplistic in that way. But I would have to say my most recent ones racing around in Europe were my SB3 Adidas spikes. They were so good because they got the little bit of cushioning at the
Yeah.
front. So it feels like a high heel backwards. Best way to kind of describe it in my words. But yeah, I love them. I've been running in them for the last 5 years, and they are my favorite shoes to train in.
Have you tried the Evo SLs yet?
Oh no, I don't think I have actually. I have to try those. I'm like I said, I'm like still learning. Like I
Yeah.
definitely know in terms of shoe names. I'm sometimes
Mhm.
terrible. It's until like I see them and then I'm like, ah, yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, but I know between the Adi Zero joggers and the SP3s, they're the only shoes that I know
Hmm.
what they look like. And actually, I will mention the Super Boosts Adidas
Super
shoes,
Boost.
amazing to run in as well.
Hmm.
They are super light and yeah, probably one of my favorite shoes, both casually and in a training sense. So yeah.
Very cool. My last question for you is any advice to those chasing a dream?
Oh, of course. I would say my biggest one is believe in yourself,
Mhm.
and build yourself a team that believes in you more than you do. I know I am so privileged enough to have built myself a team that has helped me over the years. I know I personally, me as an athlete, I struggle with self doubt quite a bit. I know leading, and I would say even like leading into Europe, like my European season, and like standing out in that line, I tend to kind of compare myself to a lot of other athletes and go, oh, like they're better than me. Oh, like let's just see how we go. All this, but at the end of the day, it's just you versus you out there, and just know that you have done all the hard work. Really, just honestly, just go out there and just believe in yourself and just have fun. I know just those two words, have fun, have really helped me out.
Mhm.
Because I know there was a stint in my athletics career where, I was looking at giving up just because my head was just too much. I just couldn't handle the pressure, and I just couldn't handle this, and I was focusing on too much outside of my control. I am just so, I guess, so grateful for what both what I've achieved and for the people who got me there to achieve those. Um, so yeah, have fun, believe in yourself, and just know that dreams do come true. No dream is ever big enough. Like I know I have a really big goal leaning into worlds, and sometimes I say to myself like, oh no, that's not achievable, like
Mhm.
that's a little bit out of your,
Mhm.
like, out of your zone sort of thing. But no, get those thoughts out of the way. Honestly, really, just if you really dream it, really believe in it, then you will achieve it. So I guess, and also like I encourage a lot of younger athletes, like, always take every opportunity you possibly can. I know as a younger athlete, and I would say even as an older athlete now, I am very much a yes person, and I love taking opportunities. So I guess, yeah, as that younger athlete, particularly when you're growing, and I would say I'm still growing and learning as an athlete, just say, just take those opportunities, whether, even if it's completely out of your comfort zone or something like that. Like I was saying yes to so many different sports. And then, yeah, I was so lucky enough. I've met my best friends through them. I met my coach through them, and I've met so many amazing people and discovered so much about myself. So take every opportunity that you possibly can. And yeah, just have fun during the whole process. Like, don't put too much pressure on yourself.
Mhm.
Like, just go out there and just really enjoy yourself. Um, at the end of the day, like, don't worry about what everyone's thinking. Just go out there and just run for you. And of course, run for those people that have gotten you there. So, no, I'm very, very grateful and and like I'm repeating myself, but yeah, I would definitely say I'm still learning as an athlete to conquer those things. I still struggle with nerves, with
Mhm.
doubt, with all these little combination of things. But like I said, I got an amazing team that are really helping me lift my spirits and yeah, honestly, yeah, believing in me the best that they can. So I guess yeah.
Mhm.
Also, yeah, I'm rambling now as an Aussie
Yeah.
does, but but yeah, that would be my biggest advice for every athlete and every person, to be honest.
That's
Mm,
awesome. I love that. Love that a lot.
mm. Thank
Uh,
you.
so before we let you go, what are five facts about Australia that Americans just don't know about? You don't have to, it doesn't have to be five. I just threw it in.
No, no, I could talk about Australia all day long. Okay, one, I feel like everyone mentions our spiders and our animal situation being really scary. It's not that bad. It's actually fine. Another fact, I reckon, okay, I am very biased. I reckon where I live on the Gold Coast, definitely come and visit. I would say it's probably one of the best places in the world to visit. I'm very biased, I would say, but it is such a great spot. We have some, and this is honestly, I feel like actually not just Gold Coast, but Australia in general. We have the most beautiful beaches. I think we're really well known for our beaches over here. So if you want to visit anywhere, I reckon maybe don't go up to Cairns because the crocodile. Okay, even though I just said the animal situation is not bad, maybe don't maybe just be careful up in Cairns with the crocodiles. But yeah, our beaches are beautiful over here. What's another fact? I'm a very big foodie, so I love my food. And like I mentioned, I love my coffee. I reckon between New Zealand and Australia, our coffee is amazing. And I would some cases say probably a lot stronger compared to probably actually I've had some strong coffees in America, but I would say our coffee we got a very good coffee culture here. Um as well as actually our food culture is very good. We us Aussies we love our food. So yeah, I would say anywhere you go, any cafe, any restaurant, very good. And there's so many facts. I feel like it's facts that kind of like everyone already knows. But oh, what's another good one? I don't know. I feel like I just encourage everyone to come to Australia. It's a beautiful part of the world. Us Aussies, we love people, we love meeting new people, all this, and it's a lot quieter. I will say, actually, compared to you guys in America, and it's a lot even though our country is so big, it is actually population wise, we are so tiny. Like I think the population of Australia is in LA itself. Like that's how small we are as a population dense. Our country size, massive. Like if you fly, like the fact I was actually explaining this to Europeans, like it takes, like I think a lot of them like think, oh, like the distance between Sydney and Brisbane is like, oh, like drive wise, like 2 hours. No, it's like 15 hours. So we're a big country, but we're very spread out. But yeah, no, I encourage it's really exciting that we got the Olympics in Brisbane 2032. And I like to believe that's going to bring a lot of people around the world to our country, which is really, really exciting. And I know that's a massive goal of mine. I want to go to Brisbane 2032 with my running career. Just to perform in front of that home crowd would be really special. But who knows? Maybe I might go longer. maybe I might be in a different sport till then. Who really knows what's going to happen? I'd like to hope I would still be doing 400 meters. And then maybe, who knows, I might actually keep going after Brisbane 2032. But yeah, no, I encourage everyone to come visit Australia. It is, yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world. And as much as I love traveling overseas and I love seeing the world, yeah, I always love home. So come to Australia.
Yeah, well, you got me motivated now. Um,
Yeah.
so our podcast can be found on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and then Instagram and Twitter, the Sports Mecca, and then also our video platforms are on YouTube. But Ellie, I mean, a very unique experience to actually get an Australian, actually someone who isn't from the US. It was a breath of fresh air because Sam and I are just used to talking to people who have the exact same type of mannerisms as us. So, this has been a long time in the making for this to happen. So we really appreciate you taking the time and speaking with us. For us, this
Oh,
evening, but for you, it's afternoon.
yeah. Yes. No, thank you so much, guys. I'm very, very lucky enough, very privileged to be on your podcast. And thank you for the opportunity. I always love chatting and meeting new people and, talking about my journey. And I know I'm very grateful. Thank you so much for having me.